What up? All right. We got another one from MrBallen. Another one from MrBallen. And this is his security camera footage revealed a conspiracy. His security camera footage revealed a conspiracy. What what conspiracy? What type of conspiracy? Like a conspiracy against him? There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. All right, security camera footage, yeah. Those capture a lot of things. Let's see what conspiracy his camera's caught. Let's go.
If you're like me, at some point in your life, you've discovered a conspiracy theory that you believed because you researched it and there was all this information that showed you this is no theory, this is fact. And why isn't the rest of the world woken up to this being true? But you have to remember that when you research a conspiracy theory, a lot of times the information you're finding about that theory has been put online by other people that believe the conspiracy theory is true.
Yep.
It doesn't mean they can't be unbiased, but it means that there isn't a dissenting opinion a lot of times. There's no skeptical opinion. There's no debunking going on. Instead, it's a group of people that already believe it's true and put information online that only validates it's true. And sometimes they'll omit information that blatantly debunks the conspiracy theory.
Yep.
So you got to be careful when you discover a theory and you start researching it because probably you're only seeing one side. But in some cases, these conspiracy theories turn out to be true. Now, in today's story, we don't know if this conspiracy theory is true, but we have pretty difficult to refute video evidence, and we have believers and skeptics alike saying, you know what, this is worth re-examining. I think that there might have been a cover-up here. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel because that is all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. If that's of interest to you, I would encourage you to go out and get a candy apple kit from your local grocery. Get it together. If that's of interest to you, then I would encourage you to go to your local supermarket and purchase a candy apple making kit. But instead of using apples, use large red onions and dip one of those bad boys in and offer it to the like button. Also, please subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story.
Hey, what conspiracy theory? Is it like a big conspiracy theory?
John Lang was a former U.S. Marine who lived in Fresno, California. And in 2015, while he was living there, he was at a local store and he noticed in the parking lot that some police were acting suspiciously. He did some digging and he noticed that they were running a scam. The police would scan license plates of parked cars in these parking lots, and if they got a hit, they would wait until that person came back, got in their car, and drove away. The police would follow them and then pull them over and act like it was just a routine thing when they knew they were going to be able to bust them on this particular violation. This was totally unethical and totally illegal. So Lang began posting on his Facebook about this scam, and he would tell people that this was profit driven. The Fresno PD, they operated on a quota system, so the more people they could arrest, the more money they made. Lang also began posting comments on the Fresno Bee's webpage. The Fresno Bee was a local newspaper, and he would go to their comment section of different articles and he would voice this concern about the Fresno PD, and he would tell them that they need to do something about this. You need to investigate the Fresno PD. No one on Facebook was taking Lang seriously, and no one from the Fresno Bee was reacting to John's claims that there was this scam happening. Now, it's important to note at this time that the Fresno Police Department had a very bad reputation. The chief of police of the Fresno Police Department, along with 5 other Fresno PD officers, had been arrested on drug charges. After the chief of police was let out on bail, another officer, not inside of that initial group that was arrested, went to the chief of police's house to confront the chief because he was furious at him. That night, this officer was found dead right near the chief's house with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. The family of the deceased officer was like, no way. He did not shoot himself in the chest.
No.
Either way, no charges were pressed, although many people in the area believed the chief killed that officer, and then covered it up. Following Lang's very public critique of the Fresno Police Department on Facebook and on the Fresno Bee, Lang became very concerned that the police department was upset with him for uncovering their scam, and that now they were following him all over town and harassing him. And so as a protective measure, he set up a camera on the outside of his house watching the street, and he started uploading the footage to YouTube. And some of the videos that he pulled are crazy. Lang would upload 17 videos to his YouTube channel called Lang Marine. Now, every video has a fairly detailed caption associated with it where John describes what you're looking at. The first video is of this white pickup truck that pulls up in front of John's property. Now, Lang would say in the description that this particular truck he has seen all over when he's out in public, and he believes it's an unmarked car of police officers that are following him. It slow rolls right in front of his property and then eventually drives away. And then a few moments later, it drives back around and doesn't slow down and drives right past his house. Following these two drive-bys, Lang would say that he got a series of hang-up calls that he thinks were the police calling him to intimidate him.
That's the truck.
In the next video, you see a man walking his dog and stopping right in front of John's property. John has a dog, and his dog runs up to the fence, and the two dogs start smelling each other, and at some point, the guy with the dog walks off. Lang believes that that was a plainclothes police officer that was conditioning Lang's dog to not attack him if he were to come into the property. Lang is suggesting that the Fresno police are preparing to assault his property.
That looked like a German Shepherd, too.
In the third video, Lang claims that he came back to his house and someone had tampered with his security system, with that camera, and he was now missing 20 minutes of footage.
Damn.
The fourth video he uploads is by far the most well-known of any of the uploads, and it shows a minivan pull up right in front of his house on the other side of the street. They slide open the door, and out pops this guy with some very high-tech camera equipment that Lang claims is a thermal imaging camera, and that they were scanning his house to see if he was home or not. Now, whether or not this was actually plainclothes police with a thermal imager or not, if it was my house and I saw someone across the street with that piece of equipment, I'd have some questions about what are you doing here? And apparently John felt just as concerned as I would have been, because at this point, he files an official complaint against the Fresno PD to their internal affairs. Lang claims
somebody's
that
on the
following
phone.
that
It looks like a movie camera
things
or something.
only got worse. He believes that internal affairs gave that complaint to the rest of the police department, and that further upset them and made them target him even more aggressively. In the fifth video that Lang uploads to his channel, you see a guy in civilian clothes walking up to the front of Lang's property and then stopping right in front. He kind of looks up at Lang's property and then turns around and begins walking away. And then he starts texting and he gets into a car and he leaves. Lang believes this was a plainclothes police officer who was seeing if he was home and then reporting what he saw to the rest of the police.
Did he stop?
In the sixth video, Lang claims that police cruisers were driving up and down his street at 2 a.m. to try to wake him up with their sirens on.
I mean, they wake everybody up if they ran down the street with the sirens on.
The seventh video, without reading the description, would mean nothing to you. But when you read the description, it's pretty interesting. He says the two guys that lived next door to him had randomly invited him to come over. Now, he wasn't close with his neighbors, but he agreed to go over. At some point, once he got over there, he felt like something was off. He didn't know what it was, but he felt very uncomfortable, and so he decides to leave. At which point, he says his neighbors did not want him to leave. They were really aggressively trying to get him to stay inside of their house. And when he said, no, I'm leaving, he said they blocked his way. He managed to push past them.
What the hell?
Walked outside. You see them following him as he leaves their property and walks on the sidewalk to his property. He has a fence around his house, and he's trying to get to his fence to open it up, and they're blocking his way. They're not letting him go into his property. And when finally he kind of pushes past them to go inside, they start yelling his name. And Lang would say that he thinks they were working with the police and they had pulled him away from his house so the police could go into Lang's house. And that when Lang was going back into his property, when they were yelling his name, that was to alert the police that he was coming back into the house. When Lang did go up to his house, he saw that the front door lock had been tampered with, and then when he went inside, his computer and his printer also appeared to have been tampered with. Now, this is only what Lang is saying. There is no proof that any of that happened, but that is the context for that video.
They're blocking him right now.
The 8th video shows 2 cruisers showing up in the middle of the night and parking out front of Lang's property, and at least 6 officers get out and are just standing there under a streetlight. They don't appear to be doing anything. It doesn't make sense why they're there, but they stand there and kind of look over at Lang's property for a decent amount of time before ultimately getting back in and leaving. Lang says they were doing that purely to intimidate him.
What they doing? Having a meeting? Is this right in front of his house?
Videos 9 through 16 are fairly unremarkable, but there is one video where very clearly someone walks right up to Lang's truck and tries to break into it. It's not subtle, and Lang believes this was a plainclothes police officer.
I mean, it could have been somebody just trying to break in your truck. Somebody just trying to get...
The 17th and final video that Lang uploads shows a carpet cleaning van pulling up right in front of his property. On the passenger side, a man gets out. He's wearing civilian clothes, just smoking a cigarette, looking up at Lang's property, and they're there for quite some time. And at some point, he gets back in the car after they don't do any carpet cleaning and they drive off. After uploading this final video, he goes onto Facebook and he shares a link to that video and he tells people to remember this van because he believed that the Fresno PD were just days away from finally launching their attack against him. Over the next couple of days, his Facebook posts become increasingly more panicked. He starts saying that he regrets ever critiquing the police department. He says that any moment they're going to come into his house and kill him. Then finally, in one of his last posts to Facebook, he asks his friends, will someone come stay with me? I'm scared for my life. And while his friends were concerned, no one took him that seriously, and so no one stayed with him. That weekend, John Lang was found dead inside of his house that had been set on fire. When the fire department showed up to try to put the fire out, the door was barricaded shut, and when the coroner did his first initial report on the body, he said that Lang had stab wounds all over his chest and his back, but had ultimately died of asphyxiation.
His back?
That initial report had been given to some of the journalists that were reporting on the story, and so they tweeted about it. John Lang, multiple stab wounds to the chest, to the back, died of asphyxiation. But following Lang's autopsy done by this coroner, where 2 Fresno police officers were in attendance, granted, it's apparently customary to have police officers present for autopsies, but it's worth pointing out for the context of the story, that same coroner retracted his statement about the location of these stab wounds and said they were only located on his chest, not his back, and that they were self-inflicted, and so this is a clear-cut suicide, and everybody can just move on. And so they did. No charges were pressed against the Fresno PD, and this was ruled a suicide. When the news came out that this was considered a suicide, anybody that had been following along John Lang's claims either on his YouTube channel or on Facebook that the Fresno PD was out to get him, they were not buying that this was a suicide. They thought that the Fresno PD was responsible. A number of internet sleuths began investigating the case. That van that had pulled up in front of Lang's property in his final video when he said, remember this van. Well, the logo on the side of that van was for a carpet cleaning company. That didn't exist. Someone discovered that it was a fake company. Also, they found out that Lang had apparently tried to call his ex-wife a number of times right before neighbors had reported seeing smoke coming out of his house. There was this huge petition put together on change.org that's still active to try to reopen the coroner's investigation. But despite the strangeness surrounding John Lang's case, it has been ruled a suicide, and there's no sign that they're about to reinvestigate it. So, did the Fresno Police Department attack John Lang in retaliation for him discovering their license plate scam? Or did John Lang commit suicide? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to as many people as I can. If you liked this video and you haven't done this already, I would encourage you to go to your local...
I mean, how many times was he stabbed in the chest? Or are they saying that he stabbed himself in the chest? Because, I mean, if you got 10 to 12 stab wounds in the chest, I don't think that's a suicide. I mean, you can't, can you stab? I wouldn't be able to stab myself more than once. Like, it doesn't seem like that's like, that's, that's too much. That's like the first the first Fresno incident with the police chief where dude was shot in the chest. How you shoot yourself in the chest? You know, that don't make sense. If you usually it's you know, that don't make sense. Is it possible? Yeah, of course. You know, anything's possible. I've heard weirder stories, but I'm just saying, like, it's not likely that you, man. I don't know. It it doesn't seem like exposing that the license plate scam. That doesn't seem like it would be something that a whole police department would be upset with to the point to where they would need to take him out. Maybe if it was something bigger than a license plate scheme, to where they're looking for you, they're scanning your license plate in the parking lot and waiting for you to leave the parking lot and then pulling you over because they have a quota to meet. I think that's something people thought they did anyway. Like, I don't put it past them to do that, because I think, but to try to take somebody out because they're exposing that, I don't think, that seems a little far-fetched. But I mean, I don't know. Those videos were weird. When he was at the friend's house and then he tried to leave, when he was invited to the friend's house, he went over there and then he's like, I don't, this feels weird. They were probably talking to him weird and stuff. And he was like, I need to go back. How long have they lived there? You know what I'm saying? And then where's the footage of your house when you left there? Did you see anybody come in, or was the footage tampered with like before? Man, I don't know. That's a weird case. That's a conspiracy. I'm thinking it's like a, big conspiracy theory he's about to expose. That's a conspiracy against him. Actually, he did. He kind of exposed the conspiracy that police are scanning our license plate. Maybe that's he exposed that conspiracy. Man. But then the dude with the fake carpet cleaning place, that dude was on camera. There's no way to identify him. All these people were on camera. Like, there's no way to identify that they work for the police department or, some agency. A lot of people are on camera. You know what I'm saying? But, it happened in Fresno. So Fresno police is like, we're going to shut this shit down quickly before it gets any more attention. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning on the fence on this one. I'm not sure which way to which way to lean because we've seen I forgot what case it was. It was actually the I think it was the Y files where dude I forgot the name of the story, but AJ was talking about dude that or he was showing clips and stuff. A dude was posting videos of, he thinks he saw like a giant on a mountain. Was that Mount Shasta? That wasn't Mount Shasta. But it was like a giant, it was like looked like a big dude on a mountain or something. He filmed it, then he posted it, and then he came back the next day and it wasn't there. And then all of a sudden, like, he started saying like people were following him. You know what I'm saying? He showed like a black Dodge Charger in front of his house, and then it sped off when he looked out the window. And then all kind of weird stuff. But then AJ debunked most of it, but dude ended up dead. That dude ended up dead after posting videos that seemed like they were fakes. He showed like a black, like helicopters carrying stuff up to the mountains when they're really like logging helicopters and stuff. Like he showed a lot of fake videos, but he ended up dead. So it's like, did they take him out because he actually exposed something, or I don't know. I don't know. It seems like a similar case. Maybe some of the videos were embellished. Maybe he took videos of some people that were actually doing nothing. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.